The champs is here.
Yo, we out here on the track where the dreamers run. Each step a testament, yeah, we get it done. Crushing all the hurdles, breaking through the pain. The Texas sun shines bright as we train in the lane. Push it to the limit, never look back. Texas Track Dad, we run the show. Talking fast times, how the athletes grow. In the podcast groove, we bring the heat. From the field to the mic, can't accept defeat. From Dallas to Houston, yeah, we're raising the bar. Every athlete's story, every victory a star. We hustle on the field, focus sharp like a spear. The clock's ticking down, but the finish line is near. With every single stride, we own the sound. Texas Track Dad, we run the show. Talking fast times, how the athletes grow. In the podcast groove, we bring the heat. From the field to the mic, can't accept defeat. From Dallas to Houston, yeah, we're raising the bar. Every athlete's story, every victory a star. We hustle on the field, focus sharp like a spear. The clock's ticking down, but the finish line is near. With every single stride, we own the sound. Texas Track Dad, we run the show. Talking fast times, how the athletes grow. In the podcast groove, we bring the heat. From the field to the mic, can't accept defeat. So lace up your shoes, let the journey commence. Texas Track Dad, we build the suspense.
Yo. Hey, what's going on, guys? Hey, what is going on? And I'm 6 minutes late. I'm sorry, me and Coach McCray, we went on with the show without y'all. So we've been talking about a good 15 minutes or so. But hey, this is going to be a good show tonight, and we're going to open it up for questions as well. If you have questions for Coach Danny McCray, make sure you drop them in the comments, and I will get them to him, whatnot. Y'all are coming in here. We already at over 50 people in here as well. So let me give my shout outs. Then we're going to jump into this. You know, I got to shout out to my guy over there at Trackborn. If you need any equipment, anything pertaining to track and field, shout out to my guy over there, trackborn.com. Oh, also, I got a shout out that I got from an athlete. And guys, if you want me to shout you out, go ahead and send it to me. It might get on the show, but let me bring this up real quick before we get coaching here. Let's see, make sure I get this done. So I'm gonna shout out. Hold on one second. Give me a second here, guys. All right. So I'm gonna shout out Jada with Louisville 4x2. She hit me up. They had a good performance, indoor performance. They are getting ready for Nike Indoor Nationals. They 4x2 ran a minute 37 seconds, 0.39, which put them at number 2 in the nation, fastest time right now. So shout out to Jada, Lily's on there, Jordan, and Clara. So shout out to y'all. Y'all keep up the good work. This is her IG here. If y'all want to go, hey, you see them game faces they got on there, they ready to go. But if you want to see the race is actually on here as well. But shout out to them guys. Y'all keep up the good work, all right? But let's get into it. Let me take this down real quick, and we will get Coach in here and get this thing popping. What's going on, Coach? How are you?
I am doing well, Vance. How about yourself?
Oh, I'm doing good. I am doing good. And we was about to go about a good hour. We had to stop.
Hey, track, and specifically Texas high school track is a very interesting topic, and we can go on all day about that. So I greatly appreciate you inviting me to come on the show. It's an honor to be here. I've watched you grow and your platform grow with it. And so again, now it's kind of one of those perks that I get to say I was on the Texas Track Dad podcast. So thank you, Jance.
Hey, Coach, you got the VIP access now.
Oh,
so
man.
You know, whatever you want to come over and just let me know.
Thank you. My
All
man.
right, so let's I got a few of your accomplishments here. Now I'll let you do a formal introduction. So some facts and friendly on your IG page. You had 5 USATF JO national champs. In 100, 200, triple jump, 4x1, 4x4, 3 Puerto Rico, 15, 16 national champs, 100 pole vault, long jump, 4 UIL, Texas high school state champions, and 100-meter hurdles, 4x1, 4x2, 8 UIL Texas high school individuals, finalists, 5 melonists, 2024 APXP athletes earned the following 14U 100-meter world record, 4 national records, and the list goes on, guys. It goes on. Coach, you've been busy.
Been busy. You know, they've been busy.
Yeah, yeah,
I get
yeah,
to watch the
yeah,
show.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. Yeah,
Right.
I'm telling you right now, you're doing a excellent job right now. I'm gonna let you come in and do a little introduction of yourself, and if you want to talk more about your accolades, you can. But go ahead and tell the people who you are.
All right. So, to everyone out here who may not know me, my name is Danny McCray. I am a coach down in Houston, Texas. I have the pleasure and blessings to be able to lead an individual group of kids, a training group, APXP. We've been established in 2018, and this is just another great year, hopefully, that we'll be able to have. And most importantly, I've been a part of being able to help kids to get to college. Right? If you know me, then you know that's my passion. I'm very, very proud to say that right now, today, we have 34 kids from our program sitting on collegiate rosters, right? And we've had our first professional athlete turn pro last year, so he's competing this year. So very happy, and thank you, Vance. As you roll through those accomplishments, the one big shout out that I want to give to these kids is that every single accomplishment that you just named may sound like a lifetime, but that was literally all in 1 year. That was just the performance of our group in 2024, not even including the years prior to that. So those kids have a long-lasting track record of success, and me, Coach Fisher, Coach Parks, you know, and Coach Darling when he was here, and now Coach Small. We have all had the pleasure of being a part of these kids, and I can't forget Coach Robert Gregory Sr. as well.
Okay, okay, all right, all right, all right. Cool, cool, cool. And I've been on your IG, coach, and it just seemed like you doing some amazing things, and it looks like you are preparing those athletes for the next level.
Yes.
And you are definitely doing a good thing. So, coach, what inspired you to become a track and field coach?
Literally was my son Bryce. So growing up, I coached Bryce in a number of different sports, football, basketball. By the time Bryce got to high school, I was done. I wanted no parts of coaching. And then when he
Mm-hmm.
began to run track, I was that dad that loved to just drop him off and go on about my business. I thought that some of the coaches at the Greater Houston Track Club were great. And then we had one division coach that had some personal challenges and needed to step away for the summer. They asked me to step in. Again,
Mm-hmm.
I wanted no parts of it, didn't want it. And it was actually Bryce who said to me, "Hey, Dad, you always said when God puts you in a position to help people, you have to step in and help." And so he used my own words against me. So then I decided, okay, well, I guess I got to step in and help. And I finished off the season for the 13, 14-year-old division with the Great Houston Track Club and
Mm-hmm.
literally fell in love with it. And that was the start. And then once I figured out the kids could go to college and change the trajectory of their lives and their families' lives, that
Mm-hmm.
made me more inspired to feel more responsible to help people achieve their long-term goals.
Okay, 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 okay. And how's Bryce doing down there? He's at A&M, right?
Yes,
How's
sir.
he doing?
Man, he is doing well.
He's
He's
loving it.
set to graduate this summer. That's priority number one. So I'm extremely proud of him for that. He's had, multiple NCAA All-American honors in the 400-meter hurdles and the 4x4 relay when he was at the University of Georgia before he came to A&M. He's recently pledged Alpha Phi Alpha, so he is an alpha man. So he has been just doing a fantastic job at A&M, and I could not be more proud of the young man that he's become.
Man, Coach, I'll be trying to tell these parents that, man, they be like, man, I'll be glad when my kid get off to college, man. I'm ready for them to go. Hey, I was a mess when my daughter went to college, man.
I totally understand. Man, look, I remember dropping Bryce off in college, and I held it together the whole time I was dropping him off until he gave me a hug on the way out. Said, "I love you, Dad. I'm gonna make you proud of me." Man, I got in my car. I'm up here, teary-eyed, crying back, driving back to the airport. You know, it was that disconnection of this young man was about to become a true young man. So yeah, it's still I miss him, but I love watching him grow. So I totally understand.
Yeah, it's bitter and sweet, ain't it, Coach? It's
at the same time.
Bitter and sweet. Let's get into some of these questions. What are the key physical attributes you look for when developing a sprinter? So is your specialty, what is your specialty? Your training?
So all things 100 to 400, actually I should say 55 up to 400 meters. We will dabble a little bit in the 8, but that's not my forte. If I had the rare 800-meter runner that came through, we were just focusing on the 400 aspect, making them faster to take to their 8. So that's not my realm. I think anything from 55 to 400 and long hurdles, so 300-meter hurdles or 400-meter hurdles, that is right within my wheelhouse.
Okay. So what are some of the things you look for in developing a sprinter? Are you looking at fast twitch movements, or just say a sprinter first day of practice? A kid walk up to you, "Hey, coach, I want to run 100, coach. I know I can do. I want to run 100." So what are you looking for in that athlete?
Probably the first thing is going to be their physical attributes, how they're shaped, how their body is defined, their levers. So do they have long arms, long legs? Those are things that immediately will catch my eye. And then from that point, I just want to see them move, because you can tell very quickly if someone's athletic, if they're coordinated, if they're strong. There are just some people that as soon as they move, they got something. And then it becomes, how can we pull out what God put in them?
Yeah. So let me ask you this. Or just say this kid, they come, they don't have the twitch right then. Is that something you can train them up on, or is that like a DNA thing?
I think it's a combination of both. And I think one of the biggest misconceptions about track is that people believe that speed cannot be developed. Speed cannot be taught. Speed absolutely can be developed. It can absolutely be taught as well. But there is a combination where your DNA is important in there too. I always tell the kids, even in practice, hey, we have a great and solid program, but we're not out here just sprinkling pixie dust on people and all of a sudden they perform. No, when a person has a certain level of clay when they come to you, right? I always say you can't outrun your DNA, right? So we can work with you. We can't turn a donkey into a racehorse, but you can make the donkey the fastest donkey amongst the other donkeys, right? So it is about literally a combination of their DNA, plus you have to be able to then identify how to maximize their DNA. A lot of people can ride talent, but very few people know how to develop talent. Two different things.
Okay. So when you say ride talent, is that kind of like this kid was already fast when they came to you, and you just kind of just move your arms a little bit quicker type deal?
So somewhat, right? So I do think that there are some people that may come to you fast, but then you have to ask yourself at that point, when the athlete came, how much better did they get, right? So there is some improvement that may come with natural progression. The kid gets older, strong, especially the boys. They wake up with testosterone production, and they get stronger every day, right? But there are some people that come and they become stagnant, or they only minimally improve, and they only develop mechanically just a little bit, if not at all. They may go backwards. That's, in my opinion, more of riding that talent. You got something that was
Okay.
good, you just kept it there. Well, we have a responsibility if you're really investing in coaching to then take
Mhm.
that talent that is right there and figure out how can I elevate it to a completely new level. That to me is the difference between riding talent and developing it.
Ah, okay, okay, okay. So how do you structure a typical training week for your sprinters? I know um it's based on the competition week as well.
Yeah.
On how you're gonna load it up, or what is how do you structure your training?
That's actually a great question. Um, we're gonna have minimum of one sprint day, speed day a week for sure, because we're gonna also count the other competition day as a second speed day. But then from that point, it may differ based on the athlete, right?
Hmm.
Every athlete has a different need at a different time. And one of the things that we prided ourselves in is we don't have a cookie cutter program. We have a
Hmm.
program that's individually tailored to suit the need of each individual athlete. So we typically won't take more than 20 kids on a calendar year. And on a bad day, there's still two coaches out there. So you end up with a 1 to 10 athlete ratio. So
Hmm.
I may have one sprinter who is more developed and they may need speed endurance, all right, more than they may need pure acceleration work. Well, I can build
Hmm.
that into their program. There may be another sprinter that needs 2 speed days to really function on their max V, their technique. Well, we can build that in for that athlete as well. So it really becomes individualized to the actual athlete, but based on what they need. But in general, every week we're going to have an acceleration day. Every week, we're going to have an intensive tempo one day, and we're going to have probably at this time of the year a speed endurance day as well. And then we have some flexibility whether we want to build in plyos, pool recovery, active rest, an aerobic work day. But all that may vary based on time of the year, individual athlete, and
Okay.
how they and what they may need. Because for us, because we operate on an 11-month a year calendar,
Hmm.
we get these kids, we start working in September, and we go through the first week of August, whether it be AAUJOs or USATF. So we're
Hmm.
looking long term, and then based on where we may see them in practice or where they may be from a competition standpoint, we may need to adjust their schedule. But we don't want to adjust their schedule to impact someone else who may not need that. So that's why we
Uh,
really pride ourselves in not having a cookie cutter type of training, but more of
mhm.
an individual based training approach.
Okay. And like you say, it the indoor structure is going to be different from the outdoor structure
Yep,
versus running
absolutely.
60 meters,
Yep,
60 meters versus 100 meters.
yep,
Okay.
absolutely.
Okay. 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 Um, what are the biggest technical flaws you see in young sprinters, and how do you correct them?
Okay, great question. Again, I think the biggest thing I immediately see is
uh,
poor posture.
okay.
Poor posture and poor small muscle group development. All right.
Okay.
I think most of the time when you look at most high school lifting programs, they focus on a lot of the big muscle groups, but they don't
Hmm.
focus on the small muscle groups. So you have to think about things that you can introduce to help them develop small muscle groups, also the
Okay.
coordination that comes along with them. And then from a posture standpoint, there are a number of drills, there are some devices that you can use, but we
Mhm.
literally start on posture at the beginning of practice every single day. We start with posture and we
Mhm.
end our practice with posture because I want to make sure that we are focusing on our posture even when we're tired, because we want to make sure that we resort to that when we're tired in a race.
So, so I know you say posture. So, is that going to be when do you touch the drive phase at all? Do you like, hey, we need to get your posture straight first, then we'll think about jumping into drive phase and
Mhm.
uh,
Great
hand
questions
the
again,
hip
man.
and all
You
that.
load with the great questions.
Hey,
So
man,
I
that's
think
what I do,
I
coach. That's
see,
what.
I see, I see. So I think it's simultaneous, right? So
Okay.
from day one of practice, we
Uh-huh.
are we are focusing on our posture, our mechanics. Day one, when we come back in
Uh-huh.
our general prep cycle. But also the same week one, we're going to begin to work on our acceleration mechanics because acceleration is truly a skill. And most people don't know how to accelerate. Most people don't know how to coach acceleration. They just think they're out there running. And so, but as we're working on a drive phase, and it's ironic, when I was a professional athlete, my coach John Smith at the time was the one who actually developed and coined the phrase the drive phase. So long before it became the drive phase, he was teaching us the drive phase. So still had a lot of things that I learned from him that we can bring to the athletes today. But before we even worry about the first 30 meters, we got to worry about block setup. We got to worry about pushing out of the blocks. We got to worry about the first step 0, step 1. And then we build 0, 1, 2, all the way up to 10. Then we can build from 10 to 20. Then we can build from 20 to 30. And at that point, now the athlete is really ready to build in their drive phase. But we work on them simultaneously.
So let me ask you this, and I told you because I don't know about them questions. I don't know if we're gonna get to all of them because I'm going and we start talking track. I get sidetracked pretty easy.
We go anywhere you want to go.
So as far as block work, is there a age that's too young? Because I done been in these youth meets, and the blocks are bigger than them,
right?
You know, when they carry them out. So is it a such thing as just work on the small things first? You can stand up.
I don't want to speak in absolutes and say that there is an age that is absolutely too young. I think it really becomes dependent upon the athlete because some kids progress at a faster rate than other kids. But what I do believe is, for me personally, even when I used to be affiliated with a summer track club, I always tell people, I don't even pay attention to kids until they get to 8th grade. Right? When they get to 8th grade and beyond, that's when I'll probably lock in and focus because those are the ages, in my opinion, that really count. The younger ages, that's all about exploratory, having fun, doing different events. And I think when kids are all the way probably until maybe 6th, 7th grade is probably when I would think it's probably a good time to start working on blocks heavily outside of, hey, we know that they're going to be a part of competition. We know you have to use them in some competitions. But when we're talking about really trying to focus on blocks, I think most people rush through the sport because they're trying to get to things like that. When in reality, at that age in elementary school, man, everybody thinks they can run 100. But the reality is most people aren't built to be Lamborghinis. They just like running the 100. But that 100-meter athlete might have been a great 200, 400, 8, 16 long jumper. So I just think at that age, there are just so many different things that you could be exposing your kid to. I would be cautious about spending an insane amount of time trying to focus on one thing like the blocks, where if you are a 100-meter runner, that really makes a difference in your race. So the amount of time you need to spend perfecting their start is probably not the most effective use of time for me for kids that young. But that's just my opinion.
Yeah, and a shout out to Baltimore Breeze. He was a coach from Baltimore. He said, "Coach, you got some great points. You making right now."
Thank you.
So I'm gonna say this. I'm gonna put this disclaimer out there. This is just my opinion.
Okay.
All right. Just my opinion, guys. I can have an opinion sometimes. I'm sorry. But as far as college coaches looking at athletes, I know you mentioned 8th grade or whatever. In my personal opinion, I don't think coaches really gonna dial in on recruiting an athlete to, like you said, to they're older, you know, going into high school, and maybe about in a sophomore year, if you're really good, the coaches might be like, hey, you know, they might have something, you know, but they really hammer down on your junior year. To me, that junior year is very important year. Probably the most important year.
That's your money year.
Yeah, exactly. And I found that out for sure. That is the most important year. Like freshman's going in, oh, my senior year, that's gonna be my year. No, that junior year, hey, that's where you secure your bag right there in that, you know, in that junior year, you know, and I just think that, and this is my opinion, guys. This is my opinion. Development through youth, through middle school, going to high school is very important. don't get fixated on winning medals, winning. I mean, if they win national, if they national whatever, that's good for them. You want to make sure you get that development, because I'm telling you right now, when them kids go to college, woo, that workload.
That's right. That's right. That's right.
Hey, it's no joke, coach.
Speak,
You
speak,
know,
speak, speak.
it's no joke. That workload is tough.
Yep.
It's
I
really
would agree
tough.
with you. I think one of my coaching philosophies. So I also want to be fair and help people understand. We run what we call a college preparatory system. So this is literally a training group that's designed to help kids who want to go to college to begin to prepare for college. So when they come in, what I tell kids is that you want to treat your 8th grade year like your 9th grade year. That way, your junior year is treated like your senior year. That's your true 4-year cycle: 8, 9, 10, and 11, right? And then 12th grade becomes your bonus year. It's not to say that recruiting is over if you didn't sign in November of your senior year. No, it just means your journey is a little bit different. So we want to prepare people for that point, and we want to prepare them early. So we start and we accelerate the process, and we treat 8th grade like 9th grade. And to your point, around that time period of your sophomore year, that's when people are really starting to get locked in. We know that their full track season becomes so important because we're trying to build their portfolio to assist in their recruiting.
Yeah, indeed. And this is my guy here too, Coach Vaughn. I say you.
That's my guy.
Yeah,
Since
hey,
since we
y'all.
were since we were young.
Oh, really? Okay. Yeah,
Oh
guys,
yeah.
y'all check out Coach Vaughn. He has a track and field podcast as well on YouTube. It's called Coach to Coach with a K. Go to YouTube, hit that subscribe button. I got you, Coach. I'm gonna put that plug in for you. But he said one of the best guys I ever competed against, and one of the best people in the game.
Hey,
And
thank
that's
you,
why,
Coach. Thank
yeah,
you.
yeah,
And he is doing an excellent job turning
mhm.
Grambling around. So for those athletes who are looking for great development, who are looking to attend a HBCU, you won't find a program that has better and more caring coach than Coach Vaughn.
Man, Coach Vaughn's a good guy.
Yep.
He's a really good guy. I stand behind that guy
100.
on anything he does.
Yep.
Uh, I tell you what, I Coach Bud, he been on the show a couple of times. He was over here last time. We talked for about 3 hours.
Oh, I,
We talked
lot,
so much. My whole streaming software shut down. It kicked me out. Coach Bud ran the show. He ran the show.
that's right. That's right.
But
That's
he's a
right.
good guy, man.
He
He's a
is.
good guy. I got a comment over here. It says a lot of passion on this podcast right now. Great conversation. Hey, I appreciate that, Mark. I appreciate it, Mark Fisher.
Yep.
That's how we do this because we love it for sure.
Absolutely.
Let's see. Let's go here. Man, I got a lot. I want to dive into a lot of college stuff right now, but let's get on a couple of these questions real quick. What role does race strategy play in sprinting, and how do you coach athletes on execution?
So race strategy is extremely important in sprinting, especially if consistency is your goal. You have to understand what you're doing and how you did it if you want to replicate it. So that's a big thing that we do even when practice. We'll have days where we're obviously focusing on certain times, certain distances, but then we also have specific days and specific runs where we're working on race model so that people understand, okay, this is what I'm supposed to do at this point of the race, what I'm supposed to do at that point of the race. One of the things that we're getting ready to start doing right now is to start to build the 100-meter race pattern for a lot of our sprinters. Right, we've gotten the transition from indoors to outdoor to 60 to 100, but it's so different, and we still want to
Mm-hmm.
make sure that we're better prepared for April and district. Some of the challenges that we have, we fight daylight saving time, so it's darker and it's colder.
Mm-hmm.
So what we're trying to do now is get ready to build everyone's individual race pattern for their 100. And obviously we work, my personal group also is the quarter milers, so we're able to put a lot of that work in every day in our reps. But it is so very important because most people don't know what they're supposed to do, when they're supposed to do it, how they're supposed to do it. And every athlete is different. So their race structure might not be the same as the person sitting right next to them. And I think
Mhm.
when you are in an environment where it may have a cookie cutter approach where everyone has to do the same thing the same way, many athletes get lost in the shuffle because they're not maximizing and playing to their strengths.
Mm. Good stuff. So I mentioned execution on there.
Mhm.
Um, is that something you preach on? Hey, just make sure you execute. So, because I can speak, I coached my daughter when she was small, man. When she got faster, man, I'm like, I was a football guy, so I don't know all that sprint technique and all that.
Right.
When she got a little faster, man, I had to pass it on to professionals like you. But one
Okay.
thing I did tell her, make sure you execute. If we worked
Yeah.
on something
Yeah.
that week, make sure you execute that. If you win, you win,
That's right.
but just make sure you get that done. So you execute on that next week, we can work on something else,
100% right.
So is that something you,
Every day we're all about,
okay.
we are literally about execution. And one of the things that I'll go back to 2022 that I want to give a shout out to Coach Daryl Parks for, it's when in 2022, after that season, he was on me a lot more about videotaping practice. And
Mhm,
because I had a shift in kids, when I had a group that was 2021, they were
mhm,
very good responding verbally. I could tell them to do something and they could go do it. I had a different group of kids because people are different, that they were more
mhm,
visual learners than auditory learners. And so when I
mhm,
was able to show them video of what they were doing, they could come back and say, oh, okay, I got it. And then you could use the video to then teach. And then now, as part of their normal teaching assignment, I may send them out a video of themselves and say, okay, hey, break down what you see for me, tell me back so that they understand what they're supposed to be doing, why and how. And if they can teach it back to me, then I know that they know it themselves. So yeah, it is, videoing to me now is a big part of execution. And it gets to
mhm,
the point where the athletes will be at a high school meet, for example, their parents will video them and they're getting ready to send me their video of their performance. And they've already put their critique in the video that they send to me. Hey coach, hey, you know what? My heel was too high right here. I started cycling early at
mhm,
my start. And that to me is something that brings me a lot of joy because I love smart athletes. And so we
yeah,
want to
yeah,
invest in education so that we can build smart athletes so that they
yeah,
can execute consistently.
yeah. Man, and you're right, coach. You hit on something. And in that recruiting process, when those coaches, when they're talking to athletes, they're gonna ask you questions, right?
Right.
And your responses is going to dictate a lot of stuff,
You got that right.
And if you don't know the basics, and if you can't tell this coach uh about striking the ground, putting force in the ground, or and
Yep.
all that, because by the time you are a junior, you should know all that. You
You
should
should
know
you
that
should know.
lingo. You,
if
you
you
should
if
know how
you've
to
been
talk.
if
Yeah.
you've been taught but that also depends on the system that you're in, right?
Okay.
Because some
Okay.
kids, it's not their fault if they don't have
Gotcha.
someone
Yeah.
that really understands it. How can
Hmm.
someone who doesn't understand it teach it? And if they
That's right.
can't teach it, then you
Hmm.
can't fault the kid for not knowing it. And that's
True.
where sometimes is one of the biggest gaps in track and field is everybody with a stopwatch, a whistle, and some wickets believes that they're a sprint coach, and that couldn't
Mm.
be further from the truth. And as a parent and athlete, they may not always know where to go when they're trying to seek that extra help. And so they
Gotcha.
don't know how to do the background work, to vest, to make sure that they're getting in the right system that can prepare them to have those conversations that you're talking about, man. So that they're very
Hmm.
real. And because I
Yeah.
think what
Yeah.
one of the things that you haven't touched on, but it fits directly into this, is that as the potential roster changes in college happen, a lot of athletes don't understand that development becomes different. Smaller rosters means less developmental athletes. That means more people have to go there ready to contribute and perform to earn that spot on that 45-person roster. And it doesn't mean that the college coach won't continue to develop that athlete. It just means that that athlete has to come to college in a different place than where they
Hmm.
normally have been allowed to come into. And so that
Hmm.
puts even more precedence and importance on identifying in high school where my child can go and become developed. And these decisions that they're making now will have huge impact on their ability to be recruited later on.
Yeah. And coach, I'm telling you, you hitting on it. You are really hitting on
Hey,
it.
this is a
And
track podcast. We're here
yeah,
to have some fun and hopefully educate along the way.
yeah. We well over 130 right now. That's all. That's what I can see on my screen right now. That's not counting the other platforms that's running right now. But uh,
And welcome everybody.
yeah. If y'all have any questions or any comments, go ahead, drop them. I get the questions over the coach. If you want to ask them anything, just go ahead, drop in the comments. But like you said, man, things have changed with the portal, and like you say, the change of roster size, and hey, a question I already popped up. Hold on,
Okay. All right.
let's pull it up real quick. All right, there we go. All right. How do or should I go about being coached without being watched by a coach? I'm running in a club at Ohio State with a state hurdles champ for feedback. Do I record reps and ask coach to look at them?
Okay, so I
Uh
want to make sure we're
yeah.
right. So are you saying that you are a collegiate athlete? Because that would make my answer very different. Okay. If you're a high school athlete, then what you would be describing is remote coaching, and you can get some benefit out of remote coaching, being able to record yourself, send that to someone, have them analyze it, and provide you with the feedback. That is probably better, in my opinion, for more technical work. But to actually create the workouts, that becomes a little bit different, because a big part of coaching is that if we run you through a workout, I need to see you. I need to know what the weather is. I need to see if you're fatigued or tired, because I may have to change that workout on the fly. And that's harder to do if I'm not there. So there is certainly a disadvantage to remote coaching in that way. But I do believe that there's some value in having someone analyze your film and then send your film back. If you are a collegiate athlete, that changes. I would not advise working with outside coaches while you are work or while you're training within a collegiate program. That will be frowned upon, and I would encourage you to go back to your collegiate coach and have one-on-ones. This is what they get paid to do. They're not high school teachers, so they're not teaching class. They're there to do track, and if they can have meetings with you, break down film with you, go out to have an individual practice session with you, they can do all that. So I'd encourage you to go back and have that conversation with your event coach if you're a collegiate athlete.
Yeah, that's oh coach, I appreciate you. That's a good answer. Let me see, he had put something else down here, paying for coach. Okay, yeah. Basically saying it's tough because it's not the coach is not there physically, and he's still trying to
Yeah.
make sure he's, doing what he have to do,
He's doing the best he can. So
yeah,
hey, I'll
yeah,
tip my hat to you, because
yeah.
that to me shows a great amount of heart. That if you know you got to get better and you can't find help locally, you're just trying to find the help the best way you can and go grind it out. Hey man, tip my hat to you.
Yeah. I'm gonna jump back to here they them keep them coming. We got another here, coach. Let me pull it up for you.
Okay.
Yeah, guys, y'all got questions? Go ahead and put them in here. All right. Can you see that, coach?
Okay. What should a periodic table
Uh,
look like when you're in a
yeah,
colder state like Ohio and you have new track and field kids coming out for outdoor season? All right. So are you saying that if you're just starting in January, February, March, and they're coming back, obviously you probably do a lot more of your training indoors. If they are coming out for the very first time, they missed the fall, it's a colder state, I probably would spend more of my time early on working acceleration, and I'd work short to long. So if we can do that indoors, I've seen some of the East Coast workouts where they got a hallway with the rubber tarp down. I would try to work acceleration early on and build them short to long, especially if they're coming from another sport like football. I probably would not spend a lot of time trying to go long to short, because acceleration is a skill, speed is a skill. And yeah, so I would definitely start going short to long, accelerations in there. It doesn't mean that I would not build in some intensive tempo runs, or maybe some tempo runs depending on what the weather is like. I also believe that sometimes in a colder place, you can also get some of your aerobic runs in, depending on the events, but get some of your aerobic runs in a 24-hour fitness gym on a treadmill. So I probably save, and if I'm indoors in a school, man, I can get aerobic work in running laps inside the school hallways. But from a training cycle standpoint, I would still start short to go long.
Yeah,
Hope
yeah,
that makes
yeah,
sense.
yeah, yeah. Yeah, Kenan, if you have some more questions, just go ahead and let us know. That was a great answer by Coach. Yeah, Coach, they got it rough up there, man, with that
Yeah, they
cold
do.
weather, and we got a benefit in Texas, man. We be
Absolutely.
outdoors early. We
And
be
but people
outdoors
still
early.
don't take advantage of that.
Yeah,
People
yeah,
still don't take advantage of that warm weather,
yeah,
and they
yeah.
wait too long to develop speed. But I think some of the Midwest and my East Coast colleagues, what I do like about where they're at, they have a longer indoor season. So they have opportunities to go run and go compete, and they'll start indoors. And then their high school season allows them to have state meets later on in the spring instead of very early on like Texas. So we have advantages with the weather early, but I think we lose an opportunity because of our state meet being held so early too, right? Because the month of February is not the most effective month to run high school track and field. As you see with the weather right here, it's hit or miss. And so I would love, I don't think people would understand how good the Texas high school state meet would be if it was the last weekend in May as opposed to the first weekend in May. It would be markedly different.
Yeah, I just don't get so and they y'all keep the questions coming. You got they loading up on the questions, Coach. So last year, didn't they changed the date on Texas relays,
Yeah, they
right?
moved it. They moved it up for last year's state meet was a week earlier.
Okay, so is it the same thing this year or
I believe so. I keep hearing that they're supposed to move back next year. No, I think this week. I think this year it might be around May 9th. I look at my calendar again. I
okay,
don't think it's as
okay,
early as it
okay,
was last year.
okay, all right. We got another question coming in here. Let's see. Let me do a shout out real quick. Shout out to Coach Carter. Is in the building. I believe that's Tarleton State. They out there down there doing some
Hey man, they
crazy
are doing some
things.
big things down
Down
there in
there,
Charleston State. Hey,
man, they
big
down there
things,
acting
big
up.
things. That's right, big things.
They down there acting up. Baltimore Breeze. Yeah, he was talking about the cold weather as well. Okay, Egypt's dad. How often should you incorporate weightlifting doing? Oh, this is a good one here, Coach.
Okay.
This is a good one because I see those 8-year-olds pulling those weighted sleds with a lot of weight on it.
Hey, so again, I'll tell you what works for me and kind of what I recommend.
Uh,
Um, I'm not even thinking about weights for kids younger than eighth grade. Not even thinking about it. All I'm worried about is general coordination and general strength. But Egypt's dad, I see it looks like he has a kid that's in high school. So this answer is more for high school. If you are in the season, I recommend that you're lifting weights 2 days a week. And when you're lifting weights 2 days a week, it should be primarily focused on maintenance. You're not trying to get stronger during the track season. You should have been doing that in the fall. In the spring, it's literally about maintenance. 2 days of work, 2 days a week, working on different muscle groups. And then as you get closer to district, that's when you'll taper down to maybe once a week, and then once you get into the throes of competition, you'll probably get out of the weight room around district time and beyond. You'll get out of the weight room for the rest of that championship season.
nice, nice, nice. Yeah, that's. I think that's very important too. At an early age, make sure you doing that. Doing it right with the weights because you don't want you don't want no injuries at an early age, nothing like
Hey,
that. But
I'll be candid. So you talked about Bryce. So my son was U.S. number one in the 300-meter hurdles. He was U.S. number one in the 400-meter hurdles. He's had a really good high school career, got good college career. Bryce did not start lifting weights until he was a senior in high school. That was very intentional. That I did not want him lifting weights until his senior year. And in his senior year, he was not lifting free weights. He was doing a lot of band and resistance work. And he had a
mhm.
great trainer at the time that we avoided the free weights. And then he didn't have his first exposure to free weights until he went to college. And the reason why is because can be so many things that can go wrong, in my opinion, in the weight room. I wanted his strength and conditioning program to literally be handled by an expert strength and conditioning coach, so that they could then develop him further as a collegiate athlete. So I'm also really big on leaving some meat on the bone for the college coach to work with. Sometimes you can do so much in high school that the college coach doesn't have much to work with when the athlete transitions to college. So big part of the weights, I am I'm a fan of the weight room, but only in the right hands with the right people am I a fan of the weight room.
And it just for me to hit on that with my personal experience with my daughter, she didn't actually pull a weighted sled until her freshman year at Indiana. she never she had never pulled a weighted sled before until this year. This year. And coach Cedric Stewart, he took her slow. It was progression. He didn't focus a lot on, pulling weights. And I mean, they did a little weights in high school, but it wasn't nothing major, know. And you're right, you want to make sure you leave something for when they go to college, because you'll see because she's spiking now.
That's right.
She's spiking now.
Because
where
she wants to, right?
Yeah,
where she wants to be.
Yeah, she's right where she needs to be. Because they're gonna incorporate that weighted sled and everything now, and it was just like she's really spiking. So guys, I know y'all do what you want, but Coach McCray, he's a professional there, and I'm just telling you my personal experience. With my daughter, it worked for us. Right. But you do what's best for your child or whatever. But I think that's some good information some parents need to hear, because I'm telling you, yeah, I didn't know. I heard about like the college workouts and stuff like that, but they they don't joke. They don't joke. Here we go. We got hold on before we jump to Landon. Hold on, Landon. Let me pull this up real quick, because we were just talking about the weights. We got them coming in from everywhere, Coach. I got IG over here. I'm trying to keep up.
Keep them coming.
I'm trying to keep up. Hold on 1 second. Let me jump on this one here. Let's see. I love that answer about the weight room and leaving me alone. I appreciate that. That great information from Egypt's dad there. Landon, we about to jump on your question in a minute here. Let's go ahead and do this one. What would you do with an athlete who struggles with short, choppy steps during the block and acceleration phase?
All right. So Landon, great question. And Landon is a star in his own right. So for those who may not know Landon Fontenot is 1/4 of the Atascocita High School 4x1 national record team last year. He is now a freshman at the University of Iowa. He's off to a great start there. And I'm proud to say that he is one of our APXP distinguished alumni. So he always keeps me on my toes, because he asks questions like that. Even when he was in high school, I would get random text messages. Hey, Coach, what about this? What about that? He is a student of the game. So if I'm looking at what we want to do for a high school athlete, and we're trying to get their steps get more power generated and get bigger steps, first you got to step back and ask yourself, why do they have choppy steps, right? Are there block angles that are making them have short steps? What's their concept of speed? I can think of like little Dylan Mitchell. So Dylan Mitchell, 14-year-old world record holder, now 15-year-old national high school record holder in the 60. One of the things that we always notice with Dylan when he first comes back is he has short, choppy steps, because he related speed to frequency. And so then he ended up having choppy steps. So one of the things that we like to do is we want to go back in and measure their trochanter length, which is basically their leg length. And then I have a computer formula that kind of spits out where you should have each of your steps based on the length of your legs. And then we'll start to put marks down to teach athletes where to step down so that they will eventually get bigger steps or more appropriate steps for their body in that position. And then if you're further down the race, to add to Landon's question, if you're further down the race and you're trying to lengthen your stride, a good tool is wickets. But before you can use the wickets, you have to understand what that athlete's stride length is on its own, so that you understand where to put the wickets in to then help with that as well. If you have some machines, like you might be in college, and you have a 1080 machine where you can get some more pull from you and more pull on torque, excuse me. Those are different things that you can do to increase stride length at different parts of your race. But if you're talking about first and foremost, when you're starting from the blocks, go back always to block settings, and then explain to the athlete what they are trying to accomplish with each step, starting with step 0 from the blocks. Hope I did well answering your question, Landon.
Yeah. I just looked you up too, Landon. I see you doing your thing down there.
It is.
You doing your thing. For D Parks, I tried to put this my comment in the comment section over here on IG, but it locked up or some crazy stuff over here. But so D Spark said it's a different day now with having to be ready to go in college when you arrive. Is what he's saying. And my response was it depends on what college you go to. There's still a few schools out there that still develop, but yes, you're right. Some want you to come in and, they want you to score points or whatever. I think it's dependent on the school. That's why it's important when you in the recruiting process, parents and coaches who are in that right now, you need to make sure you are talking to those coaches and getting their expectations. And you need to ask parents, you need to ask the coach, just ask them straight out. You need to be upfront with these coaches on these visits and all that stuff. You need to be upfront. Are you is this a developmental program? There's nothing wrong with asking a coach that. There's nothing wrong with asking them that, right? Because you can, the kid can sign, you go there, think they gonna get a little bit of development. They're throwing right into the fire.
No,
I'm telling you, it's gonna be hot.
I agree with you, but I do think that changes even with every level of school. They're expecting different things now, because when you think about what's about to happen with the roster sizes, you're about to see a major trickle-down effect, and there are going to be so many coaches sitting around their computer waiting for the transfer portal to open back up again. Because when these rosters have to come down in size, the athletes have to go somewhere. And so each level of university is about to get an upgrade in talent. And each time that they get an upgrade in talent, their expectations change on what they want from their athletes coming in. And so you have to find the level of school that is more appropriate for where you are in your process. You have to be able to go find a program where you can help that program today, right? So that way you are celebrated versus being tolerated.
And that it's pretty simple. Go where you want it, Go where you stop. And I preach this all the time. And people who watch the show, they know I get on my soapbox about recruiting all the time. Stop chasing after schools that don't want you.
Absolutely.
If these coaches not responding to you, you didn't send them email after email, you did questionnaires, and you done did everything you possibly could do, and you ain't heard anything, move on, right? First of all, make sure you have the standards to even send a DM to that coach. If you're not even close to the standard, don't bother, because the reason why these coaches, they're getting about 300 emails a day.
That's right.
I know they tell me, they're like, hey man, I get about 300 emails a day.
That's right. That's right.
So don't waste your time, because I think a lot of kids, they miss out on these good coaches at these other schools, right? Because they so focused on these schools that's up here, but you got some great coaching, almost the same, even probably the same level at this other school, but they just don't have the name, you know. They
or
just don't have the name.
they may not have had the clay, right? If you
Mm-hmm.
don't have the talent to work with, doesn't matter how great of a coach you are, that's going to impact your productivity. Sometimes
Mm-hmm.
some coaches have literally been put on the map because of one athlete, not because of what they've been able to do consistently. They were put on the map because one athlete did great and they had very strong name recognition, and that made everybody around them think, hey, this guy is the guru, as opposed to
Mm-hmm.
paying attention to not just the top of the program, but the middle of the program. All right. That's where you want to look for that growth. And so you might find that some good development can go on at a different college. It's not always about what's the name on the front of that jersey.
Yeah.
You got to
Yeah.
go where you are wanted. Again,
Yeah.
where you're celebrated and not tolerated. That's where
Yeah.
you should want to go to school, and recognize that if you're trying to go to these big box name, brand name schools, they have tons of people going at them every single year. And that's
Mm-hmm.
also where who coaches you comes to in play. Because if I'm a college coach and I recognize that there's a good program over here that continues to produce great athletes, that's where I'm going first. I'm going to pick the phone up. Hey, coach, who do you have in the 25 class? Who do you have in the 26 class? Or they're looking for that text that said, hey, coach, I got a guy for you, or I got a girl for you. And they'll pay attention to those. And that's how the relationships help you bubble to the top of the 300 emails that they may get, or the 300 text messages that they may get. So if you're always trying to, focus should be, what's a good home for me, and then do I have a relationship with someone who can get me in contact with the coach at that university, unless I've done something so great that they proactively reached out to me.
Yeah. Yeah. Yep. Yeah. Yeah. You're exactly right. And I always say, athletes, when you send in those emails, you need to make sure you make that email attractive, right?
Absolutely.
Just don't put John Doe, I run the 100-meter dash, and just your and
Yep,
just your time.
that's right.
You need to put something on state champion or something. You need them. You need to catch his attention,
And
right? His or her attention.
you better be leading with your win legal times, because there's
That's
a big
another thing.
difference.
Yeah,
There's a big difference. All
that's
right.
another thing. Yeah, because they gonna check. They
Absolutely.
go to check. They
Absolutely.
they're going to check. Make sure you put your win legal time on there. If you do put a win aided time, make sure you put the W on there.
That's right. Make sure they know that you know that you
Yeah,
know. Right.
yeah, yeah. Because trust me, they're going to check. They definitely go check. And
Got to
I
do due diligence.
and I just think athletes they miss out, and some of them don't even end up going nowhere because they want to go to these big schools, you know.
Yep.
And I just seen ECU girl run 7.72 in the 60 and 22 something in the 200, and you got the Minnesota hurler, and she number one. I think she probably number one in the nation right now.
So first, I want to hear. So first, shout out to Virgil at Eastern Carolina. He has done a fantastic job with her.
Mm,
And I remember a conversation he and I had before the season started, when he told me that he had signed her, because he came from a different university called Campbell University, moved into
mhm,
Eastern Carolina, and then he's
yep,
trying to figure out how to get into Texas. We had a conversation. He told me
mhm,
about her, and it's funny you mentioned her name. I said, "And listen, when people see what you do with her, that's going to give you some inroads back to that Central Texas area where she's from, but
yep,
also and beyond." So shout out to Virgil. Great job with what she did. And I think it's a perfect example of going where the coaching is, as opposed to being dependent upon chasing the name.
exactly. Exactly. Because at the end of the day, everybody end up at nationals, right?
That's right.
If you can
That's
run
right.
it.
You all got to lock horns at regionals.
Yep.
Everybody has to
Yep.
lock horns at regionals.
Yep. Let's see. I gotta. When will you have a training day that coaches can attend and learn, or do you, as a personal trainer, keep some things like the weight? So do you put on like a Zoom coach or anything
So
like that, or do you have clinics or?
But to be honest with you, I have never done one before because I just didn't think that people would be interested in attending. So for me, I typically keep my head down, just go to work every day. I've had a couple of coaches here locally ask me if we could have a dinner roundtable. I was open to that. Um, I do think that I probably would be interested in maybe doing a clinic if people felt that there was a need, right? I am very much an open book. I don't consider myself a gatekeeper. So if there's knowledge that's out there, I don't mind sharing knowledge at all.
Well, because we got over 200 people in here right now just on this screen. I'm not counting everything else that's going on. So
Man, that's
you
thank
you're
you.
definitely a hot
That's
topic.
that's very humbling. I wouldn't expect that, didn't expect it, but I greatly appreciate everyone who has tuned in. It means a lot.
And yeah, and hey, TTFCA, if y'all watching next winter clinic, let's get Coach McCray down there.
Yeah.
That clinic went really well. They just had a coaching clinic down there at Waco, and it's always a great event. I wasn't able to make it this year, but that's another place where you can, speak on some track and field, Coach. I'm telling you right now, Coach, you're putting out some gems,
Thank
or
you.
whatever.
I
But
appreciate it.
like I said, if you,
That's
I
so
can show you how to set up a Zoom. Just let me know, because it definitely needs to get out there.
I definitely be open to it. I really think that it's incumbent upon us to help raise our skill level as coaches because these kids really depend on us because their recruiting now more than ever is going to be heavily dependent upon what they're doing in high school. NIL opportunities are coming because of what they're doing in high school. There's a real monetary value that is placed on these kids doing better in high school now than ever before.
Yeah, and it's like you say, the game is, man, it has changed, and it's a lot of pressure on high schoolers now, man. It's a lot of pressure, and like Mr. Parks was saying, yes, majority of them colleges want you ready to go because you got to think about it. Those coaches' jobs are on the line.
That's right.
Right?
That's right.
And it's like, should I take my chance on this senior, or I can go in this portal and I know for a fact she a legit 11-2. She run it all the time. And she gonna run it. That's a lot of pressure.
Yeah. Hey, so when I went to school on football scholarship at Texas A&M, and I'll never forget rather, coach telling me my freshman year, your potential will get me fired. And I didn't understand it at the time, but now I'm adult looking back, he was very right. If you can't maximize on someone's potential, you lose your job as a coach. So if you have the opportunity to bring someone in, you're more than likely going to bring in somebody that you know is a proven commodity that can help you today.
Yep.
All right. So then now you have to understand as a high school athlete, what am I really competing against? I'm not just competing against other high school athletes. I'm competing against the athletes in the transfer portal. I'm competing against international students. As a college coach, I can go overseas to Europe and go to Great Britain and get someone who is 21 years old that's been competing internationally for 3 years, and I can bring them over to the U.S. as a college freshman. That's a safe bet for me to make as a college coach because I've watched them compete internationally for 3 years. Now I get them in a college season or a college environment for the next 4 years. They're a proven commodity versus I'm looking at a high school athlete and they may not be one of the top high school athletes. How do I know what they're going to develop into? And do I have time to develop them? Because my job is if I'm an assistant coach in college, I don't have a multi-year contract. If I'm an assistant coach in college, I have a year-by-year contract. So at any point in time, I cannot be retained, which means I need to make sure I'm producing every year for my team. Those are big choices that college coaches have to make every year.
Yeah. And it's like it's one of them things you can't take it personal, in that recruiting process, because at the end of the day, they got a family to feed too. You know, I mean, it is what it is. You know, it's nature of the beast in track and field. What it
That's
comes
right.
down
It,
to,
it
you know.
it very much so is.
Ooh, it's tough. It's tough. All right, Landon got another question here. Could you talk about less is more in some areas of training? Some
Okay.
athletes might think working out twice a day is what they need and overworking themselves.
Absolutely. So, one of the worst sayings that I've ever heard in sports is the mindset of no days off. Because I think no days off, if taken literally, can lead to more damage than good. A big part of your development has to include rest. If I don't rest, my body never recovers. If my body never recovers, I truly can't push it to excel at a higher level because it's tired. And then eventually, my body will get so tired that the mechanism that it sends back to me is we're going to get hurt because that's the only way I can rest is we get hurt. And that's the thing that you have to make sure you're cognizant of as an athlete. Sometimes less is actually more. All right. And so, and thank you, Len. I think that was a great question that could help a lot of
Mhm.
athletes out. And so, when you're trying to juggle between two sports or you're trying to juggle between two practices, right? These things have to be managed very well. And you have to have dedicated rest included in there, or else at some point in time, your body will hit that brick wall and your body will not continue to grow and progress and develop.
Good stuff. Good stuff. Hold on, I just seen something right here. Hold on, coach. You coach the Maxwell twins?
Yes, yes. Coach the Maxwell
I
twins as
didn't
well.
know that. Okay.
Hey,
Okay.
the fact that you didn't know that
Oh,
makes me
I
happy
didn't. I
because
did
I'm
not
trying.
know that.
We like to be back in the cuts.
I
We just
just talked about Maxwell the other day. I did a story on her on Medium and everything.
They
Okay.
are absolutely great young women. I think they're probably two of the nicest athletes I've ever been around. They're great kids, great home, and obviously what you see, great athletes. They joined our program would have been May of 2024, and they have completely blossomed, and they've made our program better. They're great teammates. They make the people around them better. But man, we got some great stories about those two twins too.
Hold on, I think we
And
lost your audio, coach.
oh, lost my audio.
Let's see if I can. Can you still hear me, coach?
I can hear you.
All right.
Yes.
So what I'm gonna do, I'm going to remove you, then come back in. So
Okay.
just click back on that link.
Okay. Click on the link you sent me. All right.
Hold on, we'll get them back in here. Because I know y'all don't want me to talk about no track. We'll get coach back in here. Let's see. Let's just give him a minute. But yeah, y'all keep sending those questions. Um, coach is gonna he's gonna come back in and we'll jump back on the questions and whatnot. But I appreciate y'all ask some questions. Hey coach, can you hear me now?
I can hear you. Can you hear me?
Let's see. Let's see, you cut it out. Are you check your
The
phone and see
host
if
has
you
unmuted your
muted or
mic. So
something?
can you hear me? I can
Yeah,
hear you
you're not
perfectly.
muting anything like that.
Mm-mm. Mm-mm.
All right, let's see. Oh, thank you. All right, just stay with us, guys. We'll get coach back in here, see what's going on here. Let's see. All right, we go do it again. I mean,
Okay.
let me send you another link, okay?
Okay. Go
Go
back to my
to
email.
I'm gonna send it to your ex, like I did the
Okay.
first time. All right,
Okay. Send it my ex. All right.
just stay with us, guys. We'll get coach back in here. Let me send this. Let me send this link to him. Y'all keep loading those questions up. We'll get them in here. Oh, let's go here. And we'll go here. Let's see if this will work here. All right, coach, I just sent you the link. So just click on that link there. It should bring you back in. Let's see. All right, he's coming in. Let's see if that got it.
Hopefully you can hear me.
Yeah, I still cannot hear you at all. Let's see.
Man. It said the host has unmuted your mic.
That is strange there.
That's crazy. You. Can you hear me? You can't hear me, huh?
Oh, they say they can hear you. I can't hear you. So can y'all hear Coach? So I can. If y'all can hear him, just type something. So hold on a second. We can hear. Oh yeah, they can. They can.
And I can hear you.
Hold on. Oh, it might be me. Hold on a second. Hold on. Let me check my stuff real quick. Give me a second, guys. So I think it's crazy. Hold on a second.
And I guess while he's doing that, just want to say thank you, Austin.
Well, if they can hear you, that's cool. All right. So we just go roll with it.
All right.
So here's the next question here, Coach. Yeah, he wanted to give credit to you on coaching the Maxwell twins. I
want to say thank you. Thank you. Again, that's one of the things that I think that we're very blessed to have are great athletes. I said those Maxwell twins, great athlete, great families. But honestly, every athlete that's in our program comes from great families. They're great kids. And when you watch them work with each other, you're blown away by the quality of people that we have. And it is a huge blessing in and of itself. We can only do so much, right? But we be supported by the athletes and the parents. It's great. And thank you for acknowledging that. You just sometimes as a coach, it's always nice to see people think that the work that you do is pretty good. So thank you. I'm gonna give something good.
Yeah, no problem at all. So I actually just pull up, to show somewhere else so I can hear you.
Okay.
I can actually hear you coming now. Man, yeah, I didn't got behind on these questions. Hold on, we got a bunch of them over here, Coach.
Okay.
Let's see. And it's coming from IG also. Here we go. Yeah, Coach. And I agree with this post. You are giving out some really good information, some things that people need to know. He was saying, Coach, all you have to do is just be yourself. If you're gonna, put on a clinic, or if you ever get to that stage where you're doing a Zoom or whatever, you definitely can do it, Coach. You definitely can do it. Because, I say,
I would definitely take
everything is going crazy right now. I do think it's there's a lot of people flooding the stream right now. It's probably kicked the volume out on this end over here. So,
well, I'll tell you. Thank you.
Here we go. We got a question here.
Okay.
How do you approach working with an athlete that might come to him? Do you work with jumpers? So how do you work with jumpers?
Yes. So we have jumpers. We have horizontal jumpers, and we have our first vertical jumper in a pole vaulter. We work with hurdlers. As I told you earlier, I work with long hurdlers myself. But how do I work with a kid that is primarily a jumper? I'll tell you, we have a great one that's a jumper first in Harrison Lowe. And he is somebody, first time we ever saw him at practice, the amount of spring that he had in his legs, and he is a natural accelerator. So he has a great jump program with the Avionics Collective Group. And with a jumper, you still need to work on your speed. So he's going to be with his jump coach twice a week, and then he's going to be with his sprint coach twice a week. So sprinting only enhances jumping, it doesn't detract from jumping. So if we have somebody that is primarily a jumper, then that's where I would expect them to spend the majority of their time where their specialty is. If they're more of a sprinter than a jumper, then I would expect them to spend more time sprinting than jumping. I hope that answers your question.
All right, I got the audio back. You can hear me, right, Coach?
Yes, sir.
All right, cool. It was definitely on my end. Sorry, guys. But yeah, you're right. So jumpers. Let's talk about jumpers a little bit. I know we got some jump coaches in here, probably some jump coaches, some jumpers and all that. So is long jump and triple jump a different jump, and why is one of my questions. And how do you feel about sprinters triple jumping? Okay, I know they can long jump, but what about the triple?
So let me first say, as I answered the very first or one of the earlier questions, jumping is outside of my wheelhouse. So there's a couple of people that I like to refer to when I have jump questions and I'm training jumpers, right? So shout out to TJ at JL Elites. Shout out to Kenny Roseman, right? So
Coach
those
Kenny.
two guys. Yep.
Yeah,
hey,
yeah.
And if I got jump questions, I'll ask one of these two.
Yes.
All right. Shout out to Marlon Hargrove. Marlon Hargrove is probably one of the better unknown coaches in Houston. He actually is the jump coach for the Maxwell twins. So I got three people I can kind of pull in and source for talent. Yes, there's a difference between long and triple, and most oftentimes there's the link between long jump and sprinting. All right. I haven't seen at the collegiate level or above an elite sprinter / triple jumper. But that's where I'd also look at someone like Mia Maxwell, who might be just that unicorn, where her jump specialty is a triple jumper. And obviously, you've seen what she can do now on the track from a sprinting perspective. I do fully expect the triple jump to come up the same way that her sprinting has. And that may be her thing in college. It's very, very rare because of from what I understand, the time and technical aspect of coaching and learning the triple jump versus the long jump. But she just may be that unicorn. But there is definitely a difference.
Yeah, and I think athletes, they are evolving. It's new breed athletes out there now, and like you say, you never know. You never know. I think it's coming. I definitely think it's coming because look at these kids; they just doing all type of stuff right now.
Man, there's amazing young people.
Yeah, they're doing a lot of stuff. But yeah, I appreciate that, Coach. I know Taylor Nunez, she's a good jumper. I know she long jumps and she's a phenomenal sprinter as well.
And you know where she got that from, right?
Her mom.
Absolutely got it from her mom.
Right?
So shout out to Mika. I wasn't gonna let that ride. So hey, her mom was a fantastic short sprinter and long jump.
The Nunez family, man, they some great people. They big supporters of my show and what I do, man. And it's a great, they keep to themselves, man. And Taylor just pop out smoking people, man.
That she does. That is a heck of an athlete, and such a nice young woman.
Oh yeah, she is. Let's see. Let me get back to the questions, guys. Sorry, I went on my little soapbox again. Let's see. Miss Queen D said rest and recovery. Yeah, that's true. Let's see here. Thanks to TexasTrackDad as well as keep it. Hey, I appreciate that. Thank you, sir. I appreciate it. Thank you. Okay, let's see. They can hear us both. Let's see. We got some more questions here. Let's see. You the truth, been following you since I clicked on your comments. Real love. Let's see. This tell you right here how many. Let me take a picture real quick of. I want to show you my screen, Coach.
Okay.
Show you what you're doing right now. You know already killed blew out my streaming software. Oh, 1 second. Let me see if you can see this.
I can't see what that is,
That's
but
too
I'll
much,
take your
right?
word to something good. Yeah,
That's too much. Yeah, that's really good. That's probably
yeah,
a show
take
record
a
there.
screenshot. Take a screenshot and send it to me because the screen
I
is too
will.
small for me.
Oh, okay. I sent it to you. Well, that's showing 200. It's 201 now. Hey guys, make sure y'all share this show. Go ahead, y'all guys. Go ahead and share it now. So we can get coach's views up some more. Let's see. Here we go. Landon, why should 400-meter athletes focus more on speed than endurance if they are wanting to run a 47.5? That's a good question.
And it's an easy answer. Speed reserves. If I'm faster than you are, which means that if my 200 PR is 21 flat and your 200-meter PR is 22 flat, I can comfortably run the first 200 if I'm the 21 flat sprinter in your PR in the open quarter. I'm sorry, open 200, excuse me. I can run 22 seconds. And if I can run 22 seconds, then that allows me to have more energy reserve later so that I can run faster longer. If you can only run 22 flat, which means you're at best, you can come through the first 223 flat, we're not going to have the race because I can physically sprint for 300 full meters. I can sprint 300 meters. I will be able to hold on and you will not be able to catch me. So where do I want to spend my time? Do I want to spend my time trying to make you strong, but you're slow? Or do I want to make you fast and then get you to hold on to that? So the easiest way that I would look at this and explain it is that the 400 meters is a race of speed endurance. But how can I endure what I do not have? If I don't have speed, I can't endure it. The 400 meters is a speed endurance race. So I first need to have speed so that I can develop endurance so I can have speed endurance if I'm trying to run under 45.7 or sorry, 47.5.
How can I endure what I do not have?
That's right.
Whew. That's because that's deep there, coach. That's deep. That's deep there, and the 400, man. In my mind, that's just me. 400. It's definitely a sprint.
Absolutely a sprint.
It's definitely a sprint, and
100% a sprint.
it's a my best way to put it is a technical sprint, kind of, because I mean, if you're trying to run a good time on that 4, you're gonna have to come out with it, right? Then you're gonna have to you got to manage that race. You're gonna have to manage the 400, right? It's not physically possible to run a 400 full speed all the way around. It's not gonna happen. It's not gonna happen.
But
And that's
why
why
it's
when I
about
be at
speed
the
and
youth
endurance.
meets back in the day at the youth meets, prayers be hollering, run full speed, work full.
Oh yeah,
Go kill
and
that kid.
that's a disaster. Or if you run it like I'd say like the junior high kids where you think you can jog the first 200 and then sprint really fast the last 200. That ain't gonna work either, right? This is a speed race, and you're seeing kids in high school running faster than they've ever run before. I remember running 45.74 when I was in high school, and that was rare that anybody would ever do it. Now it's almost on an annual basis. They run 45 seconds in a quarter, right? It is a speed race. And if you're not fast, someone will just take it out hard on you, which would be the proverbial example of taking you to the deep end of the swimming pool and drowning. So they'll take it out so hard you cannot keep up with them. You try to keep up with them, you will then fall off, and they'll get so far ahead of you because the race is to beat lactic acid. If we know that your body becomes fully lactic 40 seconds into a race, then it becomes how far down the track can I be in 40 seconds? The further down the track I can be in 40 seconds, that means the less amount of time that I'll spend running under lactic fatigue.
That man, that the 400, man. It's let me ask you this. I got hey, Coach Jones on IG got a question. Coach, I'm get to you in a second. I get that question over here, but I want to ask you this, Coach.
Mm-hmm.
Sprinters. Should every sprinter be able to run a good 400? A
Absolutely.
competitive 400.
Absolutely. It's a shame if you can't, and that means that your training hasn't helped you to be able to do so. For us, we believe in developing complete sprinters. If you are a long sprinter, so you focus on the 2 and the 4, you should be able to drop down to the 100 and run a competitive 100. You might not run an elite 100, but you should be able to run a competitive 100. If you are a short sprinter, focused on the 1 and the 2, you should be able to run a competitive 400. It may not be an elite 400, but you should be able to run a competitive 400. And if you have aspirations of going to college and running, you better be a complete sprinter. You better be able
Yeah,
to have
yeah,
that range from
yeah,
1 to 4 and
yeah,
back down.
yeah, because you're not gonna go to college barking orders of what you gonna run and what you not gonna
Hey,
run.
you better get in where you fit in. Get
You
in where you
better
fit
get
in.
in where you fit in.
Yep.
Uh, uh, Coach Jones, Jet Elite, how different do you train young children from teenagers, 14 and above?
Okay, great question. I do not work with kids underneath the age of 14. All right. So I realized what my lane and what my ministry was. It's to help older athletes. That's where my passion is, how my training is designed. And I recognize that for me, if I needed to coach a kid that was younger, I would probably be less fulfilled because I couldn't do all the things that I really, really want to do with them because I recognize when they're young, they need to be trained very differently than a high school athlete. I don't think that the younger kids need the same amount of intensity. They don't need the same amount of days. They need to be spending more time developing versatility in track. They need to spend more time working on coordination. You can't even imagine how many kids I get that are high school athletes that still aren't coordinated. Every time we have fall and we come in September, and especially when we bring in new athletes, half of them can't even do the drills because they're not coordinated enough. And we have to slow down and spend time helping them to develop simple coordination. If you're a younger athlete, I just think, man, that kid should just be having fun. That I think when you're, I'll say this because I did work with like younger football players when I had a youth football organization, and my motto there still would apply to track, and that is the biggest level of success that you can have as a coach when you're coaching youth athletes. We're talking about these kids, 6th grade and below, even 7th grade and below. The biggest mark to me of a great coach is what percentage of your kids want to come back next year and do it all over again. If you can get kids to want to come back for another year, you've done a great job as a coach. And I think that has to be the focus. Teaching them basics and getting them to love the sport and allowing them to love the sport so that when they come up in levels to where I'm at, hey, the love looks differently. Because at this point now it's more business because we're trying to get kids ready for college. But that's a great question.
Nice, nice. Hey, Coach Jones, if you have any more questions, just go ahead and just drop it over there in the comment section there. I just want to thank everybody when we was having the technical problems because of me. Everybody, I asked everybody to chime in if they can hear me, and I'm just not seeing a list of people saying they heard everything. I really do appreciate y'all. Let's go here. Let's see. Run to maximize because you. I'm laughing at this here. You say, Coach, you took us to church on that answer, but hey, he got me ready to run for it. I think Coach, let me ask you this, you know, because you know, I just been working toward this goal, Coach. You know, I want to go to the Masters, right? I got my 100 right where it need to be.
Okay.
And I'm thinking I need to probably switch over to the 200 or something like that. Because my 100 time where it need to be right now, you know.
Okay.
But I mean, it's good, but it ain't good. So I'm about an 18.4 and 100.
Okay.
So what's your advice to me and trying to get on this Masters?
First of all, anyone who is still competing in Masters, you have my utmost respect. All right.
Appreciate that, coach.
Hey, listen, that's real talk. Hey, I've been telling my kids for the last 2 years, hey, I'm gonna get out here and do the warm up with you. And they still ask me, hey man, coach, when you gonna start doing the warm up? I still haven't started yet. All right. So I respect anybody who can get out there and run at any level of Masters. All right. And I'm not in a position to even tell you what you should be doing because I can't do it myself.
All right, coach. Coach, that ain't a good time, coach. I ain't gonna win
Listen,
nothing no
when
Masters.
I can't do it myself, I'm not gonna be talking about anybody running no 18. Right? Hey, I would get rolled up right now if I tried to run. So I am just appreciative of anyone who can run.
That's just my vision, coach. That's my vision right now. But we'll see how it works. Let's see, coach. Why should high school coaches focus a lot on ankle stiffness
Okay?
for the up and coming developmental athletes?
So it still
That's a
comes
good
back down to
question.
force application, right? If I got to have good lower leg stiffness so that as I'm applying force into the ground, my feet don't collapse, my heels don't collapse to the ground. I have to be able to put force into the ground, knowing I can't punch a hole through the track. So that force has to come somewhere and it comes back up. So if you have good lower leg stiffness around your knees and more particularly around your ankles, you don't end up having your heels come down. One of the advantages that these young folks have today are these super spikes. And these super spikes are designed to keep your heel off the ground, to keep you from collapsing. It actually helps with the lower leg stiffness that you didn't even earn. But if you actually have good lower leg stiffness in combination with these modern technology spikes, now this is how people are able to apply more force going down, which then comes back up as they are generating speed and velocity going down the track. So if you're a high school coach, it would be good. But if I'm being very honest, I'm thinking about the capacity that some of the high school coaches have. Can you spend really good time there? You might not be able to. Do you understand what you're doing and how to do it? You might not either. I actually think that things like this are the number one reason why high school athletes need outside coaching. They need the outside time to be able to focus on things like that, Landon.
Nice. So what age, coach, should they be? Is that well? You just so I'm guessing middle school on
Yep.
strengthening those ankles.
Yep. So
Okay.
if again, if you and there are just some common drills you can do to develop lower leg stiffness. And I think that's I would be trying to develop lower leg stiffness even if I was a little kid, if I had elementary age kids, because that is an important part of sprinting. You know,
Nice.
it's amazing. I was watching a video today of a 14-year-old kid doing a depth drop off of 36-inch mat or box rather, and I'm watching this kid nail a perfect landing without bending, without wobbling, without sinking, just showing his good lower leg strength. All right. And I was laughing because I was telling my son, hey, we didn't have all the fancy depth drops that you guys have now. For us, a depth
Mm-hmm.
drop was jumping out of a tree, climbing up a tree, get on the branch, jumping off. Said we did a lot of things that helped us develop overall athleticism just by playing outside. But when you're talking about trying to develop lower leg stiffness, man, if you can, I would want to develop that as early as possible because these things are also translatable to other sports.
Mm. Yeah. We got another question here from Coach Jones. But shout out to Mark for motivating me to go to an all comers meet. He said anything could happen to get out there. Hey, Mark, I appreciate that, buddy. I appreciate
That's right. Mark told you
it.
right. Mark told you right.
Coach Jones said, do you believe that you can train your athlete without tempo, without burning your athletes out? Do you
I'm
train
sorry.
without tempo runs or
Train just without tempo runs?
Yeah, it says, do you believe that you can train your athletes without tempo,
Yeah, you
without
can.
burning them out?
Yeah, you can, but you can't sprint every day. So if I wanted to do if I wanted to work with an athlete minus tempo runs, I probably would give them either an extra day off, or maybe switch a day. They may do pool recovery day, or they may do a plyometric day, but you can't sprint every day. But I do think tempo is also important because tempo runs are a great way to slow things down for an athlete, slow enough for them to really focus on their mechanics. So I do think that there's a really good place for tempo runs.
Okay.
But yes, you can train without them.
Okay. Cool. Cool. All right, Coach Jones. That's a good answer there. If you have any more, just go ahead and drop it. I want to get this question in here real quick before we jump back into the other questions. I want to hit on this because I want the athletes to hear this, and I want the parents to hear it as well. We want to talk about overcoming setbacks, right?
Okay.
Injuries are a common part of track and field. How do you help your athletes recover both physically and mentally?
Okay. I think recovering physically starts with rest, diet, hydration. One of the things that we work really hard to do in our training group is to identify different spots of town based on where our athletes are at, that they have recovery centers so they can get soft tissue work done. I think soft tissue manipulation is something that needs to occur on a weekly basis during competition season, twice a week in the fall, minimum. All right. For some people that might not be able to afford to get soft tissue manipulation, there are scraping tools. There are things that you can do, you can learn, or your parents might be able to learn just to be able to give you a good general flush. So I think all of these things are important part of physical recovery. But mental
Mhm.
recovery often comes back down to the individual and understanding what they need. Some people need a complete break away from track, find something different.
Mhm.
Some people need a different mental focus or a different goal to shoot for so that they can reset mentally. All right. If you have a setback and someone is injured, there is a mental toll that takes place in that regard. And so you need to be able, and there is, I see in Marlon Hargrove, if you are a jumper and you are in the Humble, Atascocita area, North Side, look this man up on any social media. This man knows what he's doing. I would highly recommend you get some jump training. If you're anywhere around C.E. King, he's over there too. So shout out to Coach Hargrove. Um, but when it comes to the mental recovery, I think again, it really is athlete specific. There are some people that get hurt and they're fired up to come back, and you almost have to get in the way and slow them down a little bit. And then there's some people that you have to remind that the track season is long, their track career is long. And what we're trying to do today is bring them back at a more appropriate pace that they can have longevity and success. And we're not trading away tomorrow for the sake of today.
Yeah, yeah. Um, 1 second. Coach CJ, what's going on? It's another big supporter of what I do. Um, Coach Coach CJ, you saying he loves tempo runs. Um, they call you the track tutor, coach. Have you ever heard that before?
Yeah, that is yes.
IG
Yeah,
going crazy right now. It's
yeah,
taking me a
yeah.
bit to read
That
everything
is,
on here.
yeah, that is a concept that's how I describe myself, during the
Okay.
high school season. So we
Okay.
train kids 11 months a year. When the high school season starts, I kind of back away at a tidbit and I refer to myself no longer as a track and field coach, but a track and field tutor. So just like if you're a kid and you're trying to get an A in your math class, you may get some supplemental help outside of school. These athletes are still trying to become state champions, all Americans, national
Mhm.
champions, and they need supplemental work. And so we provide that supplemental work, and we look at it as teaching from a tutor capacity. The high school coach, hey, this is your program. You are the lead. You're out front. This is your time. We're just here to support the athletes and their goals to get better by supplying some additional tutoring for them.
Nice, 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 nice. Good stuff, coach.
Yeah.
Um, I wanted to hit on I hate to jump back and forth, back and forth, back and forth. But it's lit right now, coach. There's a lot going on, a lot of questions. But back on the physical state and the mental state, on the setback from an injury, coming back too fast. I was watching some college race or whatever. The girl, she had like like she had a previous hamstring injury, and she had it wrapped up, and she ran the race, and um, she almost collapsed trying to come across the finish line. She just grabbed her hamstring. I'm just like, man, I wonder if she came back too fast.
Right.
I wonder if she came back too fast. And I think a lot of times, they see friends run in, they want to be, they want. I mean, they go there to run track. That's why they there. And like you said, I think it's rushed. And just for the athletes who listen to this, parents, whoever, if you have a setback, make sure you are 100% when you go back. I'm not saying 85.9. I'm not saying 95%. Go back at 100%, because if you don't, you gotta you're taking a chance to make things worse. Go do your recovery. If your coach is telling you, if your trainer or whoever you're going to, whatever they telling you to do it every single day, and don't have do it. Right? Don't have do your recovery. Then you want to come back and run, and you even do your recovery properly.
That's right.
So just make sure you're doing all that right, and don't rush it.
Yep.
And don't rush it. And I'm sorry I got on that, because I could just see the pain in her face, and now she's gonna be back to square one.
Right.
Because she couldn't walk. But I just think it was rushed. But that's just my observation. But I just wanted to say that. I just wanted to get that out there. Let's see. Have you had an athlete struggle with a major performance slump? What steps did you take to help them bounce back?
So I very rarely, I think one of the things we've been very fortunate to have is solid training protocols that allow athletes to run when they're supposed to run and run well. But there are times that people have a slump, but they're usually, again, we're working with high school kids. Heck, they have one meet where they don't run as fast as they wanted to run or they think they should have run, and to them they're in a rut, right? They're in a slump, and I think helping people to see perspective of kind of where they are. Like you would imagine, I've seen people that are having our group that are literally U.S. top 25 performers, and they think that they're running poorly. And coach, I had a bad meet. I'm in a slump. I'm in a rut, and you just have to sometimes have them take a step up. And I think no matter what level you are, you want to make sure that you first identify, why am I in this rut? Go back to the basics. Look at the film, right? Look at the film of your races, where you're making mistakes at. Look at practice. What are we doing at practice? Have you been consistent at practice? Have you been eating right? Have you been sleeping right? All of these things you have to look at and examine if you find yourself in a rut and you're trying to figure out, how do I get out of this rut? So I don't worry about the 2 hours a day that the athlete is with me. I worry about the 22 hours a day that they're not with me, because those are the hours that will most likely contribute to whatever their rut is.
Okay. Good stuff. Doris Flex. Do you know what that is? Have you heard that before?
Dorsiflex.
Yeah. Let me pull this up. Somebody just asked about that. I don't know if it has been covered this evening. Do you use it or not?
Yes.
I don't even know what it is. What is it?
Absolutely. So it's the foot in which angle in which your foot is here. Right, so we don't run like this. So I'm not putting force this way. We run like this, so I come down on the balls of my feet. So yes, you learn. So yes, I am all about dorsiflexion of your foot. But there's going to be a natural, like there's going to be a natural hang, right, from the ankle, but it should not look like when I'm coming out of my toes. I should still be able to come down on the balls of my feet.
Oh, okay. Okay. Cool. Cool. Let me ask you this: toe drag or no toe drag coming out the blocks?
It actually makes my stomach crawl every time I think of somebody dragging their toes. All right, it
Uh,
it makes no sense.
yeah. Yeah.
It is a horrible concept that is taught, that was taught. Most people have
Yeah.
realized that it's not good. Right, as I tell my athletes,
Uh-huh.
if you were supposed to drag your toe on the ground, Nike would have put a plate at the top of that front of that shoe as you dragged it across the ground if you're supposed to be there.
Yeah.
You're dragging your toe across the ground simply says resistance. There's nothing
Mm,
about running fast that should match with the word resistance. So the concept is I want to get my toe on my low hill recovery phase. I want to get my toe as close as I can to the track without dragging my feet. Some
mhm,
people teach dragging their toes just so that you can understand the body position of having your foot low to the ground. Actually, one of the things that I like to do and really work on it in the fall when we first start our acceleration process, we're in the grass. And so what it allows me to do when we're in the grass is when we're working on starts and accelerations, I can teach the athletes, hey, drag your toe across the top blade of the grass, but I should never see any dirt kicking up. So they get used to going across the top blade of grass so that by the time we come to the track, they understand what it feels like to have their toes slightly above the ground instead of dragging their toe.
mm. Okay. Okay. Cool. Cool. Yes. Yes. People. Some people do it. Some people don't. My experience with it. Trainer that my dog was going to. I'm a professional sprinter. He said, I didn't drag no toe, so you ain't dragging no toe. That's what it is.
Yep.
What it is.
Yep.
Coach Hargrove was talking about this dorsal step. Uh, Dorsal step is a must for jumpers. Oh, okay, okay,
Yep.
cool, cool. Uh, the major jumpers. Yeah, Coach. Oh, okay, yeah, he's on IG too. All right, here we go. I'm gonna ask you this, guys. Get your questions in, guys. We probably got about time. It's probably about 15 to 20 more minutes.
I
You
gotta
know,
have
our
about 10 because I'm
10,
actually
10 minutes. Okay.
I'm actually late for a movie that I'm
Ah,
supposed to be
okay. Yeah,
so
yeah, yeah.
so
So let's do. Hey, coach, you got to enjoy yourself.
no, right.
5 minutes. Hey, guys, you got 5 minutes to get your questions in here, and we go cut it.
And I
We'll
don't want to
make
hear
sure.
nothing from my athletes tomorrow at practice about coach going to the movies at 10 at night. So I'm just telling y'all that right now.
Guys, if you got any questions, make sure you get it in within the 5 minutes or so. We're gonna also get coach back when we can. But he's gonna have to go out and enjoy himself too. I know he's a busy guy. Make sure you get out there and spend some time with your family and
Right.
enjoy life too.
Absolutely.
That's the most important thing. Um, let's see. Let me get this question in. All right, I got this. I got one question, and I'll take one more question, and we go cut it.
Okay.
Um, how do you help athletes deal with pressure, especially during championship meets?
Great question again. And I think it really comes back to the athlete. You have to figure out with that athlete what how do they perform best. Some people think about it so much they internalize it and the pressure works against them. Then there are some athletes that they go into a little bit of a zone, they internalize it, man, and they come out and they are fierce, more fierce than ever. So I think when pressure, the best thing that you can do with pressure is to help prepare people for it. So one of the things that I believe is the worst cliches in sports is that when pressure happens and you rise to the occasion. I think that's a lie. In sports, as in life, you don't rise to the occasion when pressure happens. When pressure happens, you sink to your level of training. So you want to make sure your training is at such a high level that when you can no longer think you just have to react to pressure, you sink to the level of your training. You have good training sessions. One of the advantages that we have in our training group is you can literally come to practice every day and you will see some of the best athletes in the country, whether it's a jumper, pole vaulter, whether it's a sprinter, a hurdler. Most of the people there are ranked in the top of the U.S. in their class, if not their overall U.S. ranking. So every day they line up, it's high pressure. Every single day they line up. And so we try to work through that all year long, making things competitive, making things fun, having other athletes to sharpen that iron. That cliche is actually true. Iron sharpens iron. So when you make your practice situation as competitive, if not more competitive than the meet that they're going to face, they don't worry about going to the big meet because they've seen it, they've been there. But that doesn't mean that you might not have your best performance on the biggest stage. That happens. That's called life. But you have the great thing about track and field is you end up having the opportunity to line up again. So you just go back to work and you still figure out what happened and then what can I do moving forward to minimize the risk of that happening again.
Nice. And this is going to be the last questions, guys. We're going to take one from Landon. Let me put it up here. Why must some high school coaches leave out some coaching techniques when athletes that are going off to college?
Okay, so why must some high school coaches leave out some coaching techniques with athletes that are going to college? In my opinion, coaching everything can cause athletes not to develop in college. So you're right. So Landon, so it goes back to what I said. One of the things that I have a personal philosophy on, it's making sure that I know what you're going to get in college. I also know what you need right now. And if I give you everything that you're going to get in college, you have nothing new to be introduced when you go there. And if you have nothing to be introduced new when you go there, you're most likely going to be stagnant. So then it becomes, do I know enough to be able to get the performance out of you, the maximum performance out of you, without doing the maximum work and the maximum weights, the maximum technique? All right. Now, technical aspects, you can still do that. That's no problem because you want to be a more developed athlete when you get there. But as we talked about earlier, you want to leave some meat on the bone. I talked about me intentionally not having Bryce lift weights in high school. Even his summer before went to college, he ended up with the U.S. #1 time in the quarter hurdles, but we barely even ran any quarter hurdle races. We barely practiced it. I didn't want to push him to the point where he'd be running 50 points, where that was a priority. That wasn't a priority. The priority for me was for him to go off to college. So he goes off to college and he'd be in a position that he could PR early on with his college program, so that when he PR'd with his college program, he would buy into the college training system. If I tried to squeeze every little performance out of him in high school, then he goes to college, he's struggling because he's not PRing, because too many athletes think about, they correlate their success to a PR. And then they end up with a downward cycle because they end up losing confidence in their collegiate training program, when in fact, it might not be the college coach's fault. It could have been the coach at the high school level that introduced so many things to them that it stunted their growth long term. So that's why I say you have to be very strategic with how you're working with athletes to not only prepare them for high school, but to be able to prepare them for success in college. And I think that's another thing that separates our program. If you go back and look on our site, we are littered with athletes who earned All-American status as freshmen, who went on to do great things in college, because we truly believe we're setting them towards a path of success, even at the high school level.
Nice, man. Coach, I really appreciate all the info you're giving everybody right now. Matter of fact, we need to take another picture of this. I'm going to send it to you. You at 239 right now on here.
Man.
And I just checked X, and the post on X is coming up on 300. But
man, thank you guys for taking the time out of your day to spend some time with Vance and I. You could have been anywhere in the world tonight, but you chose to be with us. And so I want to tell you, I greatly appreciate that.
Yeah, guys, I really appreciate it. And like Mark Fisher just said, almost 2 hours strong on it. It don't even seem like it. It don't even seem like it. And I just want to thank everybody for tuning in, coming into the show, and actually staying in the show like always, and asking questions, getting all the information you can. We definitely go get coach back in, on down the line once outdoor kickoff and all that good stuff. But we definitely need to get Coach out of here because he got a movie to go see.
That's
Coach,
right.
you have any shout outs?
Yes. Shout out to everybody that's been a part of our APXP crew from the very beginning, our OGs. That I see you guys, to the current crop of athletes now and the collegiate athletes. Thank you again to Tyra Fisher, our team mom. Can't do anything without you. Thank you to Coach Mark Fisher. He's been by my side since we started in 2018. Thank you to every coach, every athlete, every parent who's helped us along the way. It's greatly appreciated. Everybody who's poured into me as a coach and my coaching mentors. I greatly appreciate you. And I want to connect with everybody that's out there. You can find me on Twitter or X or IG, my name, or the handle I_coach_speed. So hopefully we can continue to connect, because I want to see the track and field community grow. And thank you, Vance, for having me. Great podcast. I truly enjoyed myself.
Thank you, Coach. Thank you, Coach. Coach, I really appreciate you. I appreciate you coming on the show. Go out, have a good time, Coach.
Thank you.
I tag you on everything. When I end the stream, the outro go come up. Go ahead and you can go ahead and get off, because that outro is about a minute long, Coach.
Okay.
It's about a minute long.
All right.
But
thank you,
all right,
guys.
Coach. Yeah, Coach,
Bye.
I enjoyed you. We'll see you soon, Coach.
Absolutely. Have a great one.
All right. All right, guys, we out. Peace.
The champs is here. Yo, we out here on the track where the dreamers run. Each step a testament, yeah, we get it done. Crushing all the hurdles, wading through the pain. The Texas sun shines bright as we train in the lane. Push it to the limit, never look back. Texas Track Dad, we run the show. Talking fast times, how the athletes grow. In the podcast groove, we bring the heat. From the field to the mic, can't accept defeat. From Dallas to Houston, yeah, we're raising the bar. Every athlete's story, every victory a star. We hustle on the field, focus sharp like a spear. The clock's ticking down, but the finish line is near. With every single stride, we own the sound. Texas Track Dad, we run the show. Talking fast times, how the athletes grow. In the podcast groove, we bring the heat. From the field to the mic, can't accept defeat. From Dallas to Houston, yeah, we're raising the bar. Every athlete's story, every victory a star. We hustle on the field, focus sharp like a spear. The clock's ticking down, but the finish line is near. With every single stride, we own the sound. Texas Track Dad, we run the show. Talking fast times, how the athletes grow. In the podcast groove, we bring the heat. From the field to the mic, can't accept defeat. So lace up your shoes, let the journey commence. Texas Track Dad, we build the suspense.